So I was scrolling through the gross, yucky, icky slop that is the Team Unloader Workshop trying to find a mod to play when I came across the KagMod. The KagMod adds a Hoarder class that increases in power based on what items I've kept in my inventory, and it kinda shits like those things in DPO. Does anybody else remember that game? Anyways, some items were really easy to get, like a block of dirt that increases my damage by 10%, and others weren't so easy, like a clothed voodoo doll that grants me homing. This mod also adds tons of enemies, 17 new bosses, and the eggplant goddess? I don't know, there are a lot of eggplant themed NPCs in this mod. I don't know what the dev's obsession is. I wanted to play as a new Hoarder class, but to do that I had to make a Hoarder sigil that required these different colored pixel balls, and to get those I was going to have to defeat the first boss, the Green Menace. So I mined some wood, picked some cactus, got some more, ran into a pog ball, found a snowball cannon, laid some gear, installed some magic storage, fought off an alien, built some NPC housing, and then finally fought the Green Menace. Summoning the Green Menace. Oh shit, he flies. Ooh, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Come on, bro, you got nothing on me. Ooh shit. Ooh shit. We're gonna beat this boss first try. First try. Green Menace is gonna be down first try. Ooh, he's not green anymore. Ooh shit. Oh, okay, well he's a lot easier to hit now. Ooh. Oh my god, that was a little difficult. Oh! God, I'm a god, I'm a god. Oh, he's red. Oh, he's red. Oh, dude is pissed. Oh, he inflicts confusion too. Oh, shit. Nope, we're good. We got this in the bag. Oh, first try. Green Menace, Orange Menace, Red Menace, whatever the hell you were. Get out of here. I got 23 green pixel balls, but to make the Hoarder sigil I needed 40 green balls, 30 yellow balls, and 20 red balls. But the yellow balls cost 2 green balls to make and the red ones cost 40, which means I needed a total of 180 green balls. Now that that was out of the way, I finally made the Hoarder sigil, and it only dealt 15 damage, it only fired up, down, left, and right, and I could only use this weapon with the arrow keys. Honestly, my first impression was that this class was going to be dog shit, but I kept up hope that it would be good. I wasn't sure exactly what items applied to the Hoarder class, so I read through the mod's description on the Steam workshop, and the dev was kind enough to make a list of every single item that applied to it and what the item does. Right off the bat, I was able to get some dirt, stone, sand, and a lens. The dirt increases my damage by 5%, the stone increases my damage by 5%, and my knockback by 1. The sand increases my damage by 10%, and the lens increases my damage by 10%, critical strike chance by 2, and armor penetration by 5. Oh, and I already had some wood and a torch in my inventory that increases my damage by another 30%, increases critical strike chance by 2, and allows my projectiles to set enemies on fire. After hearing all that, you'd think the Hoarder sigil would be dealing like 50 damage by now, but all of that only increased it to 18. It only added 3 damage. I wanted to increase the sigil's power more, so I started the elevator to get some crimtane and some obsidian. The crimtane increases damage by another 10%, and the obsidian increases damage by 20% and knockback by 1. The sigil now dealt 22 damage, and I couldn't really get any of the other items on the list just yet, so I figured it was time to take out some bosses. Namely the Eye of Cthulhu, Brain of Cthulhu, and the King Slime. Since I broke some orbs down in the Crimson to fight the Brain of Cthulhu, a meteor landed and I was able to get my hands on some of that sweet meteorite that increases my Hoarder sigil's damage by 20%, knockback by 2, and I can now shoot 3 projectiles in an awfully wide spread. It was now time to fight the next boss, the Greater Alien, but I needed a few more alien spheres to make the summon for it, so I headed up to the nearest cloud island and got to farming for aliens. For about 30 seconds before returning home because I forgot to get a battle potion. When I got back home, I was greeted by some guy named Bulber that looked kinda like the hash-singing slasher from SpongeBob, and he sold drugs. Just straight needle to the vein drugs. Me being the responsible and caring person that I am, I tried to buy a bunch of the speed stims to test them out and make sure they're safe for the other NPCs to try out, but I was out of money. So I sold all of my valuable possessions to ensure the safety of the townsfolk, and let me tell you, these things made me fast. I also kept running into this guy named Commander, like shit ass or something, and all he ever sold were shitty ores and juicy blue syrup. I continued trying to get alien spheres for a while, but I was having no luck with that, so I instead went all the way down to hell and farmed enemies until I managed to get a guide voodoo doll, because it increases my damage by 5, my crit by 1, and grants me subpar homing. At this point, I managed to get enough alien spheres to make the summon for the greater alien, and despite it having a stupid ass name, this thing rocked my shit. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. The greater alien. I wonder if this is better against bosses that are like... I wonder if just doing this just better in general against bosses, because it goes up and then it comes right back down. I don't know, it feels like it might be. It feels like it might be. Dude, oh my god, this boss is crazy! Oh, come on, baby, we're so close. Come on, we're so close. We're so close, we're so close, we're so close. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh! Yeah, baby! Let's go! It dropped a summon weapon called the Prototype Remote that summons an alien robot, and since I love summons, I figured I would test this guy out against the Slime Rim, and it did not disappoint. With the greater alien out of the way, I figured it was a perfect time to summon the Blood Moon to farm Demon Eyes until I got either a black lens or the Demon Eye flag, so I could then convert the flag into a black lens. I just needed a black lens. Just before the net was over, I managed to get a flag and turn it into a black lens. The reason I wanted one so badly was because it increases my damage by 5, crit by 4, armor penetration by 6, and improves my homing just a little bit more. It was now finally time for the Skeletron fight, and I say finally because I've been recording this for almost 5 hours at this point and I hadn't even been to the dungeon yet. So I headed on over there and got to work on an arena. I used to build this really convoluted arena where I would be able to just run in circles around the Skeletron until I eventually won, but I've since figured out that a simple, long platform is just always the better option. Once night arrived, I beasted all over the Skeletron, but I'm pretty sure my mini did most of the work, which is kinda cheating, I guess, because this is supposed to be like a new class video, but it's whatever. As I entered the dungeon, it did not come out until I got my hands on a Clother voodoo doll. Yes, okay, there we go, yes. I now had a Clother voodoo doll, and this thing increases my damage by 4, my crit by 2, my armor penetration by 2, and further increases my homing. I swear to god, I'm like a Wraithon AIM 120 AMRAM air-to-air, surface-to-surface missile out here. My Hoarder Sigil now deals 43 damage, and there was only one thing left for me to hoard before the Wall of Flesh fight. I eagerly headed on down to Hell to grab me some Hellstone because it increases my damage by a whopping 25%, my crit by 2, and my armor penetration by another 2. All that was left to do was to finish the Hell Highway and defeat the Wall of Flesh, so that's exactly what I did. I finished the Hell Highway and defeated the Wall of Flesh relatively easy. The spread on this thing is super ass. As soon as it died, my world got loaded with new shit, but honestly, who cares about any of that since Captain Booty Balls is here to tell me more about Juicy Blue Syrup. Anyways, I headed over to the Crimson to break some altars to get like the Hardmode ores in the world, and I definitely didn't struggle to do so whatsoever. No! I then speed ran through all the Hardmode ores, and they buffed the shit out of my Hoarder Sigil. Cobalt increased my damage by 3 and my overall fire rate, Orichalcum increased my damage by 10%, armor penetration by 2, and my projectiles now speed up as they travel, and Titanium allowed my projectiles to just straight up break other incoming projectiles. After getting those 3, I used an altar to get the other 3 ores. Palladium granted me plus 3 healing to all of my projectiles. Mithril increased my damage by 6, crit by 2, and overall fire rate, and Adamantite increased my damage by 9, crit by 4, and overall fire rate. My Sigil now dealt 71 damage, shot fast as hell, and healed me faster than I can actually take damage. Oh, I also got a Soul of Night, Cursed Flame, and Sunlight Core, which increased my damage by 20% plus another 9, increased my overall fire rate, homing, my projectiles now glow, and they inflict both Cursed Flames and Ichor. I also got full Titanium armor, just so that I could have more defense. With all my newfound power, I took on the next boss, the Tactical UFO, but it was barely even a boss fight. Like, it lasted less than 30 seconds, and I actually lost, like, no health during it. Okay, that was weak as hell. So from each of the modded bosses, I've been getting these Evolve Stones, and they were kinda like gambling, except it's always a win-win, and never a please let me keep going, I need to win my child's college fund back, and I ended up winning 42 gold. I then got some Souls of Flight to make me a pair of alien wings, using, like, these alien wing scrap parts that I got from the other aliens, and these things were literally just as good as the endgame wings. It was now time to test my brute strength against the mechanical bosses, so I summoned the twins, but my minions did literally all of the work. like literally all of the work, so I decided to go summonless from here on out. Since I'd gotten some Souls of Sight and hollowed bars, my Hoarder Sigil's damage had been increased by 25% plus another 4, crit by 5, armor penetration by 5, and my projectiles can now phase through walls. The destroyer posed no problems whatsoever, but I ran out of time for the Skeletron Prime, so I just slept through the day and defeated it the next night. All 3 mechanical bosses had now been defeated, which meant that it was time to tunnel like a mole through the jungle to grab as much Glorified ore as I can, mainly for boss summons and such, but also because it increased my damage by 25%, knockback by 2, and overall projectile speed. I also grabbed a bunch of mud and started growing a glowing mushroom biome next to my house so that I could get some shroom my bars later. Later that night, I summoned the next boss, the Lurker God, and it was a really cool and interesting boss fight. Like, it looked really pretty and everything, but my Hoarder Sigil made it practically impossible to die, so the fight was over very, very quickly. It was about time I got to work on a Plantera arena, so I headed to the jungle and started mining out the outer rim very meticulously. But I got bored, so I just bombed the shit out of it. While doing this, I was greeted by the most beautiful woman in the world, the Eggplant Goddess. Her beauty knew no bounds, the way her green hair resembled the natural beauty of the jungle, her purple skin tone being shinier than any eggplant I've ever seen. She was perfect. But she was in the way of my arena, so I left her. I then used the arena to fight this big-ass spider boss named Alrach, but it wasn't a difficult boss at all. It was just really, really, really annoying. Once it had been squashed, I fought the Plantera and won with ease. When I returned home, the truffle had finally moved in, so I bought an auto hammer, made a single shroomite bar, and my sigil's damage increased by 25%, both the fire rate and projectile speed increased, and I now shot 5 little balls instead of 3. It was pretty spectacular. I also went to the dungeon and got an ectoplasm in the least embarrassing way possible, and it made me fire a single projectile that would go straight to the cursor, but I still had to use the arrow keys to shoot, and since I don't have 3 hands, I just threw it away. I then went and took out the golem like it was my firstborn child and it refused to grab me another beer. The beetle husks that I got increased my damage by 40%, crit by 2, knockback by 4, and my projectiles now stagger enemies on hit. Later that evening, I was greeted in a not so kind way by my ex's brother, but he was no big deal. Later that night, I was also greeted by some sort of close friend of theirs. I don't know. I don't think he like doesn't look like family, but he's got the same kind of stupid as the rest of them, so it's a coin flip really. All that was really left to do was dealing with the lunatic cultists, taking down the pillars, and defeating the Moonlord. So I headed over to the dungeon and checked the first task off my list. The pillars were really easy to take down because my Hoarder Sigil was buffed like crazy for each of the lunar fragments. The Nebula fragment increased my damage by 20 and granted me a faster projectile speed. The Vortex fragment increased my damage by 10 and granted me even faster fire rate, and it slows the projectile over time, which works wonderfully when combined with the homing. The Stardust fragment increased my damage by 15, granted me even better homing, and creates a Luminite bullet that deals half damage upwards upon the projectile's death. And finally, the Solar Fragment increased my damage by 30, knockback by 4, and I now inflict Daybroken. Needless to say, I was very overpowered at this point, and this was proven without a doubt when I defeated the Moonlord in just over a minute. Like, it was under 2 minutes, it was just over a minute. And that's the Hoarder class. I mean, the Moonlord's death increased my damage by another 20, and having Luminite Ore would have allowed me to fire Lunar Flares along with the little balls, but other than that's it. Sure, there are a handful of post-Moonlord bosses, but I would have to switch classes for those since there are no more items to further buff myself, so if you ever want to see those, let me know and I would definitely make another video around this mod. To all those actually listening to me rant here at the end, you might as well subscribe and like the video. And comment something like, I actually listened to this guy ramble at the end of the video, or something like that. Anyways, that's it.